Dragon Ball Super Broly, over half of what was written ended up being left on the cutting room floor, according to rumors. This means that there must be tons of things that we missed out on that didn't make it into the story we know. What if we got to see a little more of Planet Vegeta and the inner workings of the Saiyan people? This story was created by Saiyan and is part 1 of an ongoing series. Support them and catch up fully using the links below. A long time ago, the Saiyans lived on planet Sadala. In those primitive times, the Saiyans, represented by Yamoshi, were fighting against the royal caste led by King Shioda. Following their confrontation, the planet was destroyed and only elite members and their children could escape the destruction of their world. The Saiyans then arrived on planet ruled by the Tuffles, who were very advanced technologically. These people held the Saiyans in respect, although the latter regularly wished to exterminate them in order to possess the planet for themselves. King Vegeta II managed to eliminate them with his army and renamed the planet after himself. They took the Tuffle technology, but were not developed enough to know how to use it properly. King Cold discovered the Saiyans and offered them to join his army. They could fight on many worlds in exchange for the Tuffle technology. After many years of ruling the universe and the Saiyan people, Cold transferred his empire to his son Frieza. After discovering their legends, he secretly began to fear them. He still considered the Saiyans as an important part of his army, but commanded his scientists to inform him of all discoveries they would make about this race. At the beginning of his reign, King Vegeta III thought of eliminating Frieza's family in order to recover the independence of his people. But having understood his powerlessness, he preferred to wait until his son grew older, seeing him as the legendary Super Saiyan who could eliminate the tyrants and rule the universe in their place. Southern Galaxy, Planet Frieza 37. While the exact year is unknown, this should take place a little before the events of Dragon Ball Super Broly. A henchman enters the room to address Lord Frieza, preemptively requesting his forgiveness for disturbing him, but Frieza himself sips from a glass. Without facing the soldier, he raises his head and grumbles for him to hurry up and say what he has to. Stammering, the man goes on to alert that the science section wishes to speak to him about the Saiyans. But the Saiyans? What could this possibly be about? He takes no time in hightailing it to get a better understanding of the situation. In person, he commands the scientists to explain to him what they wanted to see him for. Pleased to see his ruler, a character the same race as a pool, who we'll call Jeff. For the time being, he reminds that they were instructed to warn Frieza directly if they made any discoveries about the Saiyan race. It turns out that they found some incredible features. To put it bluntly, they're outright terrifying. These people have particular features never before seen in other species, ushering him to see it for himself. We're brought to 2 Saiyans on a monitor. One label reads Zenkai, and the other Akari. Naturally, Zenkai is the boost that Saiyans get after a near-death experience. But Akari hasn't been explained in full detail, but it's speculated to be like the Ozaru state, or the Ozaru-like state of going completely berserk in a state of wrath. We can let this definition develop as the story does. Frieza walks over to the monitors to take a look. The scientist continues that here are 2 specimens observed recently. The first has seen his combat units improve every time he comes close to death, and the second has managed to channel his Ozaru form without any transformation. And the Saiyans he just now saw are only low-class warriors. For example, this Saiyan on the other hand. Bringing up old footage of Bardock, Jeff elaborates how these pictures were taken on Planet Serial some time ago by one of their mini spy robots. This was during the conquest of the planet itself. The Saiyan's anger awakened to a strange power. He even managed to stand up to gas of the Heater family. Moreover, the drone recording this also confirmed the betrayal of Elec, as they suspected. The Emperor merely listens in silence. To keep it simple, the Saiyans are becoming more and more of a big problem as time goes on. Remembering back to what that insufferable cat had to say, Frieza remembers that he was instructed to destroy that planet of monkeys for him, or face the god's wrath himself. With this decision an easy one to make, now is the time to put an end to the existence of these monkeys. He will eliminate the Saiyan race from this universe. On planet Zahis, blasting away his opponents, Bardock cackles for them all to die. The elite Bardock team was sent to conquer an S-rank planet per Frieza's orders. He's faced with one of the creatures that we see in the Dragon Ball Minus special. After tearing through all of his buddies, the Saiyan scoffs for this latest filthy toad to bring it on. Amidst their slaughter, Homekin questions Bardock why Gine doesn't come on their missions anymore. Who explains that since the birth of Kakarot, she stays on Planet Vegeta to take care of him and prepare the military rations. Totepo adds that these massacres aren't very much fun without Gine with them nowadays. When Leak Shouter chimes out, a message is transmitted to him with new orders. They are now to return to Planet Vegeta immediately. Frieza has ordered the full return of all the Saiyans. Though immediately unfooled, Bardock already shows his concern as to what this could mean. Back on their ship, Leak pilots and elaborates that according to the information he's obtained, every Saiyan has to go back to Planet Vegeta, except their own squad. Well, everybody save himself has been ordered on a special mission first thing tomorrow morning. But he's furious as to why only he must remain on Planet Vegeta. He doesn't understand these ridiculous orders, causing Bardock to wisely suggest that he turn off his scouter. He might hear them. He too believes all of this to be very strange. If Frieza has something to tell them, why would he want to see him instead of just sending a message? Clearly, the Saiyan is uneasy about what's to come. Back on Planet Vegeta, several spaceships make their re-entry. As the two fighters make their way home, they encounter a man named Taro. He joyfully chortles that he's glad to see Bardock still alive, but not Leak apparently. All business. Bardock only questions if he's heard anything about the reasons for the lockdown. But alas, no. Though it could just be he found a really interesting planet that he needs them all to take over. Who knows? However, Frieza's soldiers have been asking questions about the Super Saiyan. The Super Saiyan? Like the one in the legend? The conversation tapers off and we find ourselves with Gine. Of course, holding down the fort until her partner returns. And speak of the devil, the warrior announces his arrival much to the excitement of his wife. He's finally home. Embracing each other, she inquires how the mission went. Which, good, for the most part. Although he is a bit frustrated that they had to be brought back before finishing up what they are assigned to do. Detracting from her question, he beckons if Raditz is here. Chortling out with pride, Gine chuckles that he was sent on a mission with the prince. With Prince Vegeta? That kid's unbearable. Likely, Bardock is familiar with the snobby antics of the young royal. It's worth noting that even as a kid, Vegeta was nothing to scoff at. As just a child, he was a force to be reckoned with. As for Kakarot, is he still in his incubator? Who appears to be so, peacefully floating in a state of stasis. Nevertheless, the same feeling he's had since being summoned back to the planet overwhelms him. Tonight, he's going to steal a capsule. They will send him to another planet. But what? Why now? He's too young for any such mission, and becoming an emissary, or essentially a diplomat, is too dangerous, especially with his confinement imposed by Frieza. Stern with his reasoning, Bardock is certain that this is for his own good. Frieza is up to something and he feels the imminent danger of death. That evening, the young Kakarot was sent to Earth. The author suggesting that the reader check out Jakub the Galactic Patrolman for more information. Something I also suggest to any Dragon Ball fan. Taking off into the night sky, Gine cries that she really hopes her husband knows what he's doing. He tells her not to worry. If he's wrong, they will get him back within a year. She questions if he really has to go on a mission tomorrow, which is the case. He and his squad are the only ones allowed to leave, so he won't be able to see Raditz upon his return. They don't even know specifically what the mission entails, but even Leak was ordered to stay here. Not long later, with Gine sobbing herself to sleep, Bardock stands awake trying to make heads or tails about this order. This whole situation is strange. Is he really the only one who feels this danger? Maybe he's just getting paranoid. But no, of course there's a problem. In any case, he has to protect what's dear to him. Flashing back to when Granola's mother was assassinated, we can see the same happening to Gine. He remembers Ella hissing that they don't know what Frieza's really planning, do they? The Saiyans may just end up with a surprise meteorite on their heads if he dawdles. Not only does this alert Bardock to Frieza's sinister intentions, but this could also be what was taken as an act of betrayal by Jeff, Frieza's scientist. While this seems to be pretty clear, being too close to the elephant sometimes means you can't see the elephant. But he doesn't trust Frieza, and these new developments have only reinforced his fears. The fact is, he doesn't really know what to do or think. But he has to relax. He's going on a mission in the morning. Looking over to his armor, he knows how to remedy at least one thing for now. Grabbing an unbroken set, he's happy to see nothing beats the old model armor. The next morning around 8:30 a.m., we're taken to the capsule airport. Beating him there is his entire squad. Selepa comments that this is kind of weird. The boss isn't usually late. Pumpkin jokes that he must be enjoying some last-minute alone time with Gine, causing Toma to continue with the jokes. Or maybe not, with a chirp that he shouldn't say that. He'll make Selepa jealous. Though alas, everyone can calm down. Bardock is finally here. Still getting his uniform together, he apologizes for the delay. It was a long night. Ready to go. Gine rushes to stop him. What is she doing here? Asking what this is all about, she fears they made a big mistake yesterday. Something might happen to Kakarot. She should join him. Imagine if the Galactic Patrol spots him. Who warns her, for God's sake, keep her voice down. Listen. Holding her, he reminds that she is not in any way allowed to leave the planet. She will be killed. Then they'll trace Kakarot and kill him too. She needs to trust him on this. She doesn't need to be afraid. And tell Rad it's the same when she sees him. While it's eating her up on the inside, she trusts her husband. She agrees to listen before cheering him on to go conquer that planet. Who assures she can consider it done. Of course, this leads to a few jabs from his squad mates. Toma, or Tora, whichever you prefer, jostles if his boss is okay. Doesn't he miss his clingy wife already? Not appreciating this rousing. Oh, Gine, my love! I'll miss you so much!
Bardock, my little sugar!
Having had enough of the not fighting, Pumpkin wants to know if they're going or not. And yeah, they're going right now. With the ships taking off, Bardock wants to warn everybody now that he doesn't want to waste any of his time. So they're going in guns blazing and wants a quick and efficient cleanup. They arrive on a night with a full moon, so they'll use that to their advantage. Given the looming threat of Frieza's malevolent plan, what will happen in this story that was left out of Dragon Ball Super Broly? While we may know the ultimate fate of the Saiyans, what else will the series expand upon?
Saiyan is a growing artist. Check him out in the description. Go and support him, and go find a duck in the park today and take it home with you.